So hi there, it's Stacey Berger, and I am here today with Connie Sparks. And Connie agreed to come on and ask some questions and to get some support and some coaching around a challenge that she's having, a question that she has. And the reason that we're doing this is Connie, of course, first of all, to pour into you and to support you and move in some energy on your vision. And what we know is that when one person has a question, we live in a universe, there's no singular good. And so I've been at this long enough that I know that if one person has the question, usually there's many, many people out there that also have the question. So Connie, thanks so much for coming here and for your willingness to be vulnerable and to share with us a little bit what's going on and to ask your questions. So what can I support you with today?
So it's manifesting or my vision or some of the things I want in my vision without also manifesting a bunch of debt to go along with it.
I love that question. So you have a vision. So you've done quite a bit of work here around creating a vision for some of the things that you would love. And you were sharing with me that there's a history of, yeah, I've manifested some things in the past, but they've come with debt. And so how do I manifest without accumulating a whole bunch of debt along with that manifestation? And it's such a great question, Connie. And I love that question because it's important, first of all, to notice the longing and the discontent. And so as you're noticing, hey, yeah, I've had some wins, I've manifested a car before. However, that car came with a car loan or a car payment, and that creates a discontent. So then the question becomes, well, what could I do to manifest that car, that home, that vacation? Fill in the blank with whatever your dream is without having the debt. So it's a great question. Great question. So let me support you with a few things here is, first of all, oftentimes the debt comes as a result of us thinking that that's the only way that I can create results. So most of us, we live in this condition-based world. So we live in this outside in. So we know that the common way that we buy a house, that we buy a vehicle, as we go, we buy the thing, we get a loan for it, we have payments, and we pay that. So there's an expectation that if I'm going to buy a home, I'm going to buy a car, there's going to be a loan and an amortization that has in it. So that's our belief. That's our expectation. And so that's often the manifestation because that's the only way that we know how to manifest the thing that we want. Connie, does that make sense to you? You probably, right? You would say that that's pretty common, right? Most of
Yeah.
your friends would say, yeah, if you're going to buy a house, you go get a mortgage. And so if that's the only way that we know how to accomplish something, that's typically the pattern that we'll continue in. So if you say, I want to go on this dream vacation, I don't have the money to do it. So the only way to go on this dream vacation is to put it on a credit card, a line of credit, to borrow. And then so that's how we tend to create. What we're working with, Connie, and the work that we do together and that's available to all of us is something called vision-based living rather than condition-based living. So vision-based living is where we ask the question, what would I love? With the willingness to put the how on hold. And so, Connie, what's one of the pieces in your vision that you would love to manifest? Would you be willing to share that?
It's I guess, living, in the area um, where the availability to do the things I love to do is here. And then I have the time and resources to do them, I guess. So I'm like referring to getting out in the mountains, hiking, spending good time outdoors and, with people that are like-minded and enjoy doing the same thing as myself. Yeah.
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 So living in a place where that's available to you, that's accessible, where you're in the mountains or close to the mountains where you can get out and then also have the time. So not just the location and the
Mhm.
accessibility, but also the time to do that. And sometimes we think, well, how am I going to get the time? I've got to work longer, harder, faster in order to make the money, in order to do the things that I want to do. So again, it's attached to a condition. So the power of the vision-based living is that we write our vision in the present tense. with some clarity. And so, Connie, the way we would take that, right, is I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm living in the mountains or near the mountains, and every day or 3 times a week, or you fill in the blank with some specificity. I'm meeting with friends and we're hiking or we're paddle boarding or we're whitewater rafting, and I'm feeling. So if that was your life, Connie, how would you be feeling?
Happy, content, full of
Yeah.
life, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm so happy and grateful that I'm living near the mountains and I'm doing these things and I have the time to go and enjoy those activities. And there's just this feeling of happiness and I'm full of life. And so we create that vision. And I know you've done some of this, Connie. So we create that vision. And the next piece that's really key. So we create the vision in the absence of knowing how. Most people won't even dream the dream. They won't give themselves permission to say, I would love to live in the mountains, because they have no idea how it's going to happen. And so, for anyone who's listening, just really paying attention where you're holding yourself back from even dreaming the dream, because you don't know how. We're not meant to know the how. And so, one of the ways this could happen is I could go borrow some money, I could get in debt, I don't have to work as hard. That's one of the ways that it can happen. And we live in a universe that is infinite in its possibilities and its potential, Connie. So just allow the depth of that, right? If you think about the universe that is ever expanding, that is creating the sun and the moon and the earth and the movement and nature and every all of the brilliance of this life force, this universe that we live in, there's infinite possibilities in how this could happen. Our human mind limits. We like to put it in a box. The only way for me to buy a house is to get a mortgage and to get into a lot of debt. So we're opening our minds to the possibility of all the ways that this could happen. So the willingness to put the how on hold. So then the key here is to live more and more from the energy of the vision. So typically, we live in the absence of it. Well, when I live in the mountains, then I'll feel free. Then I'll feel fulfilled. Then I'll feel happy. Or I have no idea how I'm going to do that. So I'm just not even going to think about it or dream about it. So the key here, Connie, and for all of us, is to be inside of that vision and to live imaginally in that vision as much as possible, where you're speaking in that vision in the present tense. The piece that I would add to it is I'm so happy and grateful that I'm living in this home in the mountains, or, is it a condo? Is it a home? Is that you get to describe what that looks like? And my credit balances are at zero. And financially, it was easy. So you're attaching the financial piece with the results. So there's a yes and, right? So I'm living here, I've got the time freedom, and financially I'm at peace, or financially it was easy. So you're adding that piece. So
Right.
what you're doing is you're creating synopsis in your brain to hook up this idea. And what if it could be easy? So living more and more from that vision is really, I would say, well, the first key is to have the vision. And the second piece is through the power of repetition, living and imagining that vision more and more and more. So let me pause there, Connie, because there's one more step that's really important. So how do you feel about those first two steps?
Good. It's adding in, like, I've not a lot of problem really seeing myself living this life, and I have been for some time, and I get excited about it when I think about my kids coming to visit and the things we can do and all that stuff. That's all part of it. It's just, I guess, adding in that thing, reminding or myself that financially it's easy. It happened, and it was easy. um
Yeah. So
yeah.
adding that piece will help to decrease the self-doubt, or how are you going to do that? Or it came with a bunch of debt. So adding that piece. Here's the next step in that process, Connie, is every day we're saying, and what's one step I can take today in service of that vision? What's one step I can take today in service of that vision? And, where a lot of people go in that, well, is I got to go get a mortgage or I have to, right? We right away want to go get the money. Well, you don't need the money, right? It's not about the money. If you imagine I'm living in that home and it's all worked out and the money was there, what's a step I would be taking? And as you're asking yourself that question every day, that step might be go look at show homes. That step might be book a hike with some friends, go for a walk around the neighborhood. But what am I doing today? What's my little baby step? What's my action step in service of that vision? Where again, a lot of us get hung up is we want the whole plan. People say to me all the time, Stacey, but how? Show me how I'm going to get there. And I'll say to them, I don't know how. I'm not smart enough to know how, but infinite intelligence knows how. Spirit knows exactly how to give you that life, Connie, but it won't tell you the whole roadmap. It'll just tell you your step to take today. And so as you're inside that vision, it's all worked out. It was easy. Financially, I'm good. What's my step to take today? And you follow the breadcrumbs. You take your step. And the next day, you're inside the vision and you ask the question, what's my step to take? And I have seen mountains be moved for people when, the conditions and circumstances said there is no way this will ever happen, where time gets collapsed. Just all sorts of things begin to occur as we're living from our vision rather than our conditions. And so that what's my step to take today is really the next piece. We have to have the vision, but then also be in action.
All right.
How does that feel?
Good. Yeah, I guess I'm dealing with so many distractions,
Yeah.
and it's trying to silence those distractions. Sort of like all through spring when people started on me about my house not being sold and this, that, and I'm kind of like, what the heck? And then they put that doubt in your head,
Yes.
right? And getting distracted instead of staying focused, I guess. So yeah. I've got to a point where I just stopped talking to people or going out and seeing people because I didn't want to have to talk about it.
Be around people and being aware. It's a great point, right? People will give us their opinions, their own doubts, their own perspectives. And if we're not really careful, it starts to seep inside of us. You're going to sell your house in this economy with interest rates in this month, right? Everyone's got an opinion.
Mhm.
And again, they're sharing that probably lots of times in love, but through their own paradigms, through their own belief systems. And if we're not secure enough in our vision and confident enough in our vision and powerful, standing in our truth and what we know to be true, even at a subconscious level, the doubts start to creep in. And so a couple things that you can do with that, Connie, is when people say, oh, how is the house sold? Not yet, but I know that the right and perfect buyer is on their way. And you can know for me that it sells easily. So let people know how you want them to hold that for you. So you get to decide how you present, and give them an image. Imagine there's a sold sign and here I am in my new place and I'm excited about what's happening. And so be mindful of how you're in those conversations, and the seeds that you're planting in their minds, right? So often we want to go into, yeah, it hasn't sold and this and that, but share the vision. Yeah, I know for sure that this is going to sell and it's going to be easy and the right and perfect buyers on their way. Who do you know? And you start presenting yourself in a different way and they'll respond in a different way.
I was doing that early on
Yeah.
and stuff, but I think it just wore on me. somebody had suggested to me saying, it's in the process, you know, when they ask you about your house, just say it's in the process of selling. By that time, so many people already knew, and I thought it's just gonna raise, you know, they're gonna go, oh, what's, you know, this and that. And I don't lie, I can't lie, and I can't fib. And so it's, you know, if I'm trying to paint a picture that to me feels like I'm not being truthful about something, so that's why I went into complete avoidance.
Yeah. You want to be in integrity, right? You
Yeah.
want to find something that feels fully in integrity.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's important. Pay attention to that, right? And so yeah, that's really key. The avoiding piece is all right, right? I'm not opposed to that until it's starting to impact you. So it's if I'm now avoiding them, but in my own mind, I've got my own doubts and now I'm just sitting alone in my own doubts, that's not helpful either. But to be
Right.
mindful of the conversations you're in, who you're spending your time with. You can say to people, you know, thank you so much for caring and for asking. And I know that it's all working out. And I would love to talk about my new place and what I'm up to, or what are you up to? So, I mean, just a quick diversion, right? Where it's an
Right.
acknowledgement and, hey, let's talk about this. Let's talk about something else that's exciting or what I'm grateful for.
Right. I'll
That can
have
be
to sit
helpful.
down and think of some topics like that to change.
Yeah.
I did that way back when over dating stuff going, I have to think of other things to do. Even some of the way I didn't like the way some things were going, but yeah, it's, I guess, sit and focus on and come up with some pre-planning would help, because right away, the first thing that comes out of my mouth would be the truth. And then you just,
Well, and it is you again, the truth is it is in process. I might not understand exactly what it looks like, but it's absolutely in process. So you want to align yourself that that is the truth, that I'm not lying. If
okay.
I feel like I'm lying, Connie, then what I'm saying is, no, it's really not in process. I don't believe it's going to sell. So now my thinking is on it's not selling, nothing's happening. And so you want to pay attention to, what do I really believe about this? Well, if I believe it's not selling, it's not going to sell, well, I'm going to keep manifesting that result. So let's get your energy aligned with it is in process. The right and perfect buyers are on their way. What if right now they're getting approved for their financing? They're looking at my house. So you want to start painting those images in your mind and building your own belief that it absolutely is in process. I can't see it right
Right.
now, but
Right.
it's the energy is moving on it. I'm confident about that, so that it doesn't feel like a lie, which is a sign and a signal about what you're really believing about.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah, I definitely have to work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what can be helpful then is some images that represent the household, right? So if it's money's in the bank, if it's the sold sign on the front yard, if it's imagining the walkthrough, getting the call from the real estate agent, signing the papers. So start with going back to the early days when you were excited about this and rehearsing those images, just like you're rehearsing the images in your mind. I'm living in the mountains, I'm doing activities, the money was there. You're really painting that picture and imprinting that vision.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. And remember, it only takes one. And what if it were easy? So that's a really good mantra. It only takes one, and what if it were easy?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So good. Well, Connie, you've recently made a move where you can now see those mountains outside your bedroom window. I know the vision is
Mhm.
beyond that, but you're on your way. And so
Yeah.
celebrating the steps that you have taken, and just holding and knowing for you and seeing you living in the mountains and having that time freedom and doing the things that you love with people that you love, and that financially it was easy. So I'm knowing that and holding that for you. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I think I just need to sit and meditate on that more often.
Yeah.
To shut out some of those distractions I have.
Yeah. Yeah. Focusing more on the vision, spending more time on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would love for, if you're watching this video and this resonates with you, just cheer Connie on in her dreams in the comments. And we'll just all as a community support you in that dream achieved. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, Connie, big hugs. Thanks again for being here.
Welcome. Thank you for the time, Stacey. And all this stuff. Okay.